It's a beautiful morning from this part of the world. Good morning to every single one of you, and I hope you had a wonderful weekend. So let's quickly confirm that we are all on the same page. So if you can see my screen and you can hear my voice clearly, kindly type in hi in the comment section so that we can get the session started. Kindly confirm you can hear my voice. All right. Thank you very much, Carrie. Good morning to you. All right. We have Lasta 2624 and good morning. Thank you very much for that confirmation. So we have Isaac Domisa. La la la. Thank you. Great, great. Okay. So I want to take this as a confirmation that we are all good to go. So I'm excited to welcome you to yet another promising session on the Extreme Speed Life Hub. My name is Sheriff Daramola, and the next 1 hour we shall be embarking on a trading journey where we shall be evaluating the financial market using technical parameters to identify trading opportunities lining up for us today. Well, as usual, it's our culture here on Mondays to choose random pairs that we shall be monitoring throughout the week. And it's always a very good time for us to drop in the pairs or commodities you want us to be looking at for this week. So if you have any pairs, commodity, cryptocurrency, whatsoever it is, feel free to drop it in the comment section so that we can include it. And this is going to be part of the instrument we shall be monitoring throughout the week. So, with that being said, I want to welcome you once again to the live session. So, let's get the session started. So, let's dive into the chat. But before we go into the chat, I would like to share with you what the macroeconomic event that's going to be happening this week, and it's also going to be having a major impact on price movement. So, we want to be putting all this event into consideration whenever we are planning to take a trade. And also, my heart goes out to the Chinese people. In fact, I was talking with my Chinese friend a couple of minutes ago, and in fact, the situation there is very pathetic as they will be recording a high rate of coronavirus and in the fifth straight day, and it's in fact very, very pathetic. My heart goes out to the people of China. So with that being said, let's move into the macroeconomic event. So what do we have here? So on Monday we have President Lagarde's speech coming up in 3 hours from now, I guess 34 hours from now. It's also an event we want to be looking forward to, and we want to be seeing how this event is going to be affecting the Euro USD, because the Euro USD is one of the pairs we are going to be monitoring for this week. Then on Tuesday, we have the Bank of England's governors too is also going to be having a speech on that same day as well. Then we have the harmonized index of consumer prices for Germany on that same Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, we have the co-harmonized index of consumer prices for the euro. Then we have the ADP employment change, the GDP annualized quarter three, and then we have the Fed's chairman's speech also coming up on that same day. So all this is going to be affecting the US dollar. Then on Thursday, we have the ISM manufacturing PMI. And on Friday, we have the almighty non-farm payroll. So as you can see here, this week is packed with a lot of macroeconomic events. So we might be seeing huge price movement for this week. So we want to get ourselves prepared, as the anticipation of this event will be reflected on the chart as price action. So with that being said, let's dive into the chart and let's see what is going on in the market right now. Well, the first pair we are going to be looking at today, in fact, it is a commodity, is the US oil. And let's dive in straight to the daily time frame. And what do we have here on the daily time frame? Now, if we look at the current structure we have here, that is between the month of September and the present moment, we it's easy to observe that price has been caught within a consolidation phase right within the $93.50 level, as you can see on your screen right now, and the $78-$76 area in the last couple of months to emphasize the indecision in this market right now. And well, in addition to the current structure we have here is the very important key level we have identified at around the $85 level. And if you remember vividly how we have been laying much emphasis on the structure, as it has been a major determinant of price action. In fact, if we look at what has been happening here since the month of August, we saw at one point in time this level was holding buying pressure. And then if we fast forward into the month of September, we saw the final breakdown of that level. And throughout the month of September, price has continued to trade below that level to emphasize the strength of the sellers at this point. However, during the early days of the month of October, we saw the significant breakout of that structure, which was a reflection of the OPEC Plus decision to cut oil production, as we saw here. Then price came back to do a retest of structure with the hopes that price might likely continue to the upside, but unfortunately for the buyers, all buying attempts was negated by the sellers again at around the $93.50 level, and this time the move from the sellers here pushed price to finally do a breakdown of the $85 level to emphasize the strength of the sellers at this point. However, if we look at what has been happening here in the last 2 weeks now, we can see that throughout the month of throughout the week, last week, we saw how price was caught within this channel around this area, which is around the demand zone. You can see this level has been holding buying pressure since the month of September. So we saw the situation here where price was caught within another consolidation phase around that area. And if you remember vividly how we were looking forward to trading the US oil last week, we said we are going to be looking forward to a possible scenario where price might evolve back to the upside to retest the structure that was broken 2 weeks ago before another wave of bearish momentum will happen. And then the other scenario we stated here yesterday appears to be what is happening right now. As we can see, price was caught within a consolidation phase here, and I was saying that if a breakdown of that channel happens, we want to be seeing that as a bearish signal where a retest of structure should be giving us further confirmation to join the decline to the downside. And if we look at the structure here on the daily time frame and looking at the demand zone we have identified here right between the $78 level and the $76 area, we can see what happened at the beginning of this week. We saw price appear to have broken down that demand zone, and this might likely be a bearish signal that we shall be looking forward to this week. So now, to have a better perspective into what is really happening around this level, so we need to scale down to a much lower time frame. Let's see how participants in this market is relating to this current structure here to determine if we are going to be buying or selling US oil for this week. So let's scale down to the 1 hour time frame, and if we scale down to the 1 hour time frame, what do we have here? So this is the 1 hour time frame right now, and hold on a second, let me do some adjustment here. So if we look at the 1 hour time frame here, the first thing we observe here is that price action has been on a long-term bearish momentum. At least in the last 2 to 3 weeks now, we have been witnessing the selling pressure, and as a result of this, I was able to identify a bearish trend line here after connecting the series of lower highs. As you can see, we have lower highs here, and as a result of this, we had that bearish trend line figured out at this point. And if you look closely into the structure, sellers have consistently respected this trend line uniformly well. And during the course of last week's trading session, we had a structure around this area after connecting the series of higher lows here to give us that bullish trend line. And on Friday, we saw the breakdown of this bullish trend line to give us a signal that sellers are still very strong in this market. So now, when we fast forward to the beginning of this week, this is what we have here at the beginning of the week now. We saw this huge gap. We had this bearish gap here at the beginning of the week. As you can see here, we had this huge gap here, and price started at around the $76 level, which led to an engulfing candle that took price right into the $74 level. And since price tested the $74 level during the early hours of today, we have been witnessing a consolidation phase around this area as price has continued to oscillate right within the $74.50 area and the $74 level to emphasize the indecision that is in this market right now. Now, with the current structure we have here, following this impulsive move to the downside that started last week, we saw this consolidation phase here. And when we have a flat channel like this, after a bearish impulsive move, we want to be seeing this as a trend continuation pattern in the form of a bearish rectangle. Now, and if we have this kind of scenario from a technical standpoint, theoretically, we are expecting that price is likely going to be breaking the support level at the $74 level to incite another wave of bearish momentum. So this is one of the scenarios we shall be looking forward to going into the New York session today. So we might likely see a breakdown of the $74 level, and if that happens, we want to be looking at an opportunity to sell the US oil at that juncture. Then the other possible scenario here is that price might likely break out of that structure. It's not every time price follows this technical structure here, so we want to keep our options open so that we don't lose out on the opportunity when it finally happens. So the other scenario, the opposite scenario, is that if price breaks out of the $74.50 level and we witness a retest of structure giving us further confirmation, and if we scale down to a lower time frame and we start seeing buying pressure right above this level, then we want to be taking advantage of that bullish momentum to the upside. And one thing we should note here is that if a breakout of the $74.50 level happens here and we are joining the rally to the upside, we should take note that this is going to be a counter trade opportunity that we have here. So we want to be very mindful as price moves in our favor. We want to be moving our stop loss accordingly to lock in the profit so that we don't get caught up in any sudden pullback that is very likely to happen from this juncture in this market, since we have been on a long-term bearish momentum here. So if we are going to be buying right above the $74.50 level after citing buying pressure around this area on our lower time frame, where will our take profit target be? Well, at the meantime, I will be suggesting that we should be using the bearish trend line that has been holding selling pressure in the last 3 weeks as a parameter to guide our take profit target. And what do I mean by that? If you look at the bearish trend line here, you can see it also shares a confluence with the $78 level, a level which was broken during the later part of last week's trading session. And from a technical standpoint, whenever we have a breakdown of a structure like this, we expect that at one point in time, price is likely going to come back to do a retest of structure, which might incite another wave of a bearish momentum. So for the sake of this session here, if a buy opportunity happens right above the $74.50 level, we want to be using the $78 area, between the $78 and the $80 area as our yardstick for take profit target, which should be giving us around 480 to 530 pips thereabout on this one. So let's see how price action plays out in the next couple of hours. So we already have a channel. So to make our job easier, I've already identified a channel for us here. So we look out for buying opportunity at a breakout retest of the $74.50 level to take advantage of a counter trend opportunity. And if price breaks down the $74 level, we want to be looking out for selling opportunities as price continue to move to the downside from that level. So these are the possible scenarios that I will be looking forward to during the New York session today. So let's see how price action plays out. And we shall be coming back here tomorrow to do a review of what has been happening in this market. So if you have any question regarding what I've just explained so far, you need further clarifications, feel free to drop in your inquiries in the comment section, and let's see how I can be of help in that regard. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to read through the chat and see if there are any questions. And if there are none, then we move on to the next pair. So what do we have here in the comment section? Okay, we have I'm not sure I can pronounce that word. Okay, hello, good morning to you. 8712, good morning. You're welcome. All right. So we have 8634. All right, good morning to you. Glad to have you around. You're welcome. 451, good morning. 406, good morning. Oh, you're welcome. Good morning. Glad to have you around. Well, this is the Extrend Speed live app. So what we simply do here is gather here on a daily basis in preparation against the New York session to analyze the market. So what we do here is analyze the market, then figure out trading opportunities that we could take advantage of during the New York session. And we come here on a daily basis to review what our expectations are and plan again for the next session. So that's what we do here. So I would advise that you stay tuned in so that we don't miss out on any of the ideas that we'll be sharing herein. So okay, all right. So in that regard, then the absence of no questions, I will be moving on to the next pair. So the next option we are going to be looking at this morning is the US Tech. I already have a position running here, and remember we have been enjoying a bearish momentum on the US Tech since last week. In fact, we are running with over, if you had entered since last week, you will be running with over 220 pips in profit right now. And if you entered this morning right below the $11,700 level, you will be running with around 70 pips in profit at this point. So let's quickly have an holistic view of what is really going on in this market by scaling up to the daily time frame, and let's see what we have on the daily charts. So right on the daily time frame, well, the first thing we observed on the daily time frame is that price action has been on a long-term bearish momentum, as you can see on your screen. And as a result of this, I was able to connect the series of lower highs here to give us that resultant bearish trend line. As you can see here, price has consistently respected that bearish trend line. However, something interesting happened around the $11,000 mark. That was in the month of June. And what was that? Look at what we have here. We saw that every attempt by the seller, despite the fact that we are on a long-term bearish momentum, the strength of the sellers wasn't strong enough to push price and break down the $11,000 mark in the month of June. As you can see here, we saw our buyers took over the market here, pushing price again to the upside back into the bearish trend line. The same thing happened here in the later part of the month of September stroke the early days of the month of October. We saw another buying pressure from that area with an attempt to push price further to the upside, but at this point price was unable to break out of the $11,700 mark, making that area a key level to look out for. As you can see here, we have the $11,700 mark here figured out at the purple line on your screen. And if you look at what has been happening here since the month of October, we saw that as soon as price comes into the structure, we start seeing sudden pressure from that area, negating all buying attempts, hereby pushing price to the downside. In fact, the sudden pressure here was so strong that it even shifted the demand zone further to the downside. So we had a new demand zone right around the $10,500 level. And if we look at what happened here, the second week of this month, we saw this engulfing candle which took price breaking out of the $11,700 level And in the last couple of weeks, we have been witnessing a consolidation phase right around the $11,700 mark, hereby emphasizing the indecision in this market right now. As the breakout of that structure, we saw that buyers were still struggling to push price further to the upside as sellers still took over, break down the structure, and as soon as price came back again with attempt by the buyers to break above this level, the $11,900 level was so strong for the sellers that it negated all buying pressure around that area, hereby pushing price again to the downside, and currently price is trading right below the $11,700 mark. So, in order to trade this US tech pair for this week, we need to understand what is really going on around this area. And in order to do this, we need to scale down to a much lower time frame so that we can have a better perspective of what is going on there. Then, using the structure we can identify there to make a decision for this week. However, before I go down to the 1 hour time frame, I want to share with you what I think is happening here from the daily perspective. And if you look at the structure following this impulsive move to the upside, we saw a sharp rejection around this area, giving us a clue that there is a tendency of selling pressure around this area. Look at what happened here on Tuesday. A couple of weeks ago, we saw this candle close in the form of a shooting star, and since that's sharp rejection of that level, price is yet to break above that structure, hereby emphasizing strength of the sellers at this point in the market. And if you look at this from a technical standpoint, this structure here is looking it appears price action is transitioning into something that is looking like a reversal pattern in the form of a double top structure. But this double top structure is yet to be confirmed as we needed to break down the neckline area, which is somewhere around the $11,500 level. So I would like to label this area a possible neckline, which is not yet confirmed yet. So we should just have this labeled here in the meantime. So we have this a neckline. So I would want to label this area for the sake of clarity. So we have it labeled the neckline area. Okay, so we have this. Okay, so we have it like this. So we have it the neckline is still, we're still expecting price to break down the structure to give us a mature reversal pattern. So at this point in time, it's not yet a reversal pattern. We are still projecting it to be a reversal pattern, and it only be a reversal pattern when a breakdown of the neckline area at that important structure at the $11,500 mark, a very strong psychological level. So that is what will make this a reversal pattern at this point. So since it's not broken yet, we still want to see what is really happening here, and at the same time we want to see how participants in the market is relating to the current structure at the $11,700 mark since the beginning of this week. So in order to do this, we need to scale down to a much lower time frame. So we want to scale down to the 1 hour time frame, where we want to see how the market is relating to the $11,700 mark. So let me bring the $11,700 level to our purview so that we can see things clearly. Okay, good. So that's where we are. And look at what we have here since the beginning of the week. Price is back to where it started last week. As we can see, we have been witnessing the consolidation phase right now within the, hold on a second, within the $11,720 level. This is where price started this week. So this is the highest point price has gotten to this week. That's 11,750. And then this is the lowest point price has gotten to this week. That's the $11,650 level. So for the sake of the session, we want to make things clear enough. So we want to be drawing out the structures. So we have the 11,650 here. That's the support level. So we have the 11,650. So I'll be using the blue line. So let's label this area. So we have 11,650. So that's this. That's the support level of this channel that price has been caught within since the beginning of the week. Then we have another area at the 11,730. 730. Let me place this at the top. All right. So this is what we have here since the beginning of the week. Remember, we have the key level, which is at the $11,700 mark here. That's the key level we identified on the daily time frame. So we can see now price has been caught within a channel right within the $11,730 level and the $11,650 area, and it appears we are having a little breakdown of that support level, which more or less at this point is like a bearish signal at this area. So since we have a channel like this, we'll need to be very mindful of how we want to be joining this. So for those who had missed out on this opportunity here during the early hours of today, let's see if the market will be presenting us another opportunity to join that decline. And for those who are already in this trade, another opportunity to add more position at the breakdown retest of the $11,650 level to join that decline to the downside. And in the meantime, we shall be having our take profit target sitting right around the $11,500 mark. Remember, that's the level we identified on the daily time frame, which shall be serving as the neckline of that reversal pattern. And we said if price breaks down that reversal pattern, breaks down the neckline area, then that's the signal that we have a matured reversal pattern, after which a retest of structure should be giving us a leverage to add more position to our existing trade here. So that is what we are looking forward to sell the US tech at this point. However, if at any point in time during the New York session we have a situation where price takes us out of our sell position, that is breaks out of the $11,730 level, a retest of structure followed by buying pressure on our lower time frame will be an opportunity to join a rally to the upside. And if that happens, price breaks out of 11,730 followed by buying pressure, well, I want to be seeing this as a bullish signal. Then I want us to be getting ourselves prepared to join a buy opportunity right above that level. And if that happens, where will our take profit target be? Well, at this point in time, I will be suggesting that we look at what is happening on the daily time frame. And if we look at what is happening on the daily time frame, remember we had this bearish trend line figured out after connecting the series of lower highs here. So I am of the opinion that if a buying opportunity comes in above the $11,730 level, I'm of the opinion that around the bearish trend line is an appropriate area to place our take profit target for buy opportunity, as we want to see how price action will relate to that level. Are we going to be having reversal pattern below this level to same price go to the downside one more time, or a breakout of that structure, retest of that level could be inciting another wave of bullish momentum? So in the meantime, if a buy opportunity comes in here, we place our take profit target around that bearish trend line. So these are the scenarios I will be looking forward to on the US tech for this week. So if you have any questions regarding what I've just explained, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section, and let's see how I can be of help in that regard. So I'll be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to read through the chat and see if there are any questions before I move on to the next pair. So what do we have here? We have Lilana79, good morning, you're welcome. 676, good morning to you. Ostblock, good morning, how are you doing today? Hey, Innocent Babe is around. Good morning, Innocent Babe. How are you doing today? I'm doing fine, thank you. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. All right. All right. So, in the absence of no questions, I guess it's time we moved on to the next pair. So, the next pair we are going to be looking at today is going to be the EURUSD, and let's quickly have an holistic view of what is really going on in this market. So currently, I shared an update on this pair this morning where we started noticing buy momentum right above the 1.03750 level. And I will quickly run through the holistic perspective here, after which we will be scaling down to the lower time frame to make our decision for this week. So right here on the daily time frame, the first thing we observe here is that price action has been on a long-term bearish momentum. In fact, this momentum has lasted over 2 years, and as a result of this one, I was able to connect the series of lower highs here to give us that results and bearish trend line that you can see on your screen right now. Well, the bearish trend line is important at this point, but the most important structure besides this bearish trend line is the key level at the 1.03750 level. Remember, we identified the structure a couple of weeks ago, and we can see how that level has been a major determinant of price action, at least in the last 4 to 5 months now. We have seen that area we saw in the month of May. We saw how that level was holding buying pressure at one point. Then in the month of June, the same thing happened here. We saw buying pressure around that area, but the pressure around this area at this point wasn't strong enough, as it was met with a strong resistance from the sellers, which led to a final breakdown of that structure in the month of July. And since price broke down the structure in the month of July, we can see price has retested that level and price has continued to trade below that level, hereby emphasizing the strength of the sellers at this point. However, in the last 3 weeks now, we saw price come back into the structure after breaking out of that important key level at the $1 mark. So we saw price come back into the structure, and since price came into the structure a couple of weeks ago, we have been witnessing a consolidation phase around this area, hereby emphasizing the indecision in this market. Now, during the course of last week's trading session, we were actually looking forward to a reversal pattern here that might likely lead to price coming back to do a retest of the $1 mark, a level which also shares a confluence with that bullish trend line to incite another wave of bullish momentum. But in the last 2 weeks now, we have been caught within a dilemma as price is being caught within that consolidation phase. We have been seeing selling opportunities, and also we have been seeing buying opportunities around this area. But one thing I want to state here is that during the early hours of this week, we have the same price continue to trade above the 1.03750 level, a level which is also above this bearish trend line. So this might turn out to be a bullish signal, that is, price has broken above the bearish trend line, broken above the 1.03750 level to probably incite a wave of bullish momentum for this week. So we want to scale down to the lower time frame. Let's see what is really going around this area and how participants in this market has been relating to the 1.03750 area since the beginning of this week. Now, we should also take into consideration that we are expecting President Lagarde's speech coming up in 2 hours from now, 2 hours 30 minutes from now, and this is also a very high impact event, so we don't know how this is going to be, what the outcome of this is going to be on the market, how the participants in this market are going to anticipate or relate up to the speech after it has happened. So let's scale down to the 1 hour time frame. Let's look out for technical structures that we could use to guide our trading activities for today. Now, scaling down to the 1 hour time frame, well, at the beginning of the week, we saw the situation here where price started the week at around the 1.0400 level. This is where price started the week at. We saw a situation here where price started on a bearish tone. We saw price pushing to the downside, whereby finding lower lows and lower highs. So we saw breakdown of the 1.03600 level. And as soon as price got into the 1.03450 level here, we started noticing buying pressure around that area. As we can see, all attempt by the sellers to push price right below this level has been met with strong resistance from the buyers. And the buying pressure around this area led to the significant move that's reflected on the chart as an engulfing candle, as you can see here. So we had this engulfing candle taking out all the sell position right around the 1.0400 level to give us a signal that a bullish momentum has come in at this point. Now, I had this bearish trend line figured out after connecting the series of lower highs. So going into the New York session today, to make our job easy, I have a couple of parameters that we shall be using as our yardstick for trading activities. Now, the first one is this bearish trend line, which you can see. This is it. When I connected the lower highs here, we had this trend line figured out. So we saw the trend line wasn't strong enough to push price below this structure. So as a result of the multiple rejection of this level, I identify that area as a demand zone. So now that we have a breakout of this bearish trend line here, breaking out the resistant level where price started this week, well, I want to be seeing this as a bullish signal. Though I have missed this opportunity, but those who took advantage of the breakout here, well, kudos to you for being on standby to take advantage of that move. Well, for me, I missed out on this opportunity. So my advice at this point for those who missed out on this opportunity is that let's see if the market is going to be presenting us with another chance to join that rally. And how are we going to be looking out for a chance to join that rally? Well, the first situation I want to be seeing, since price has broken out of this bearish trend line. Remember, from a technical standpoint, whenever we have a breakout of a structure like this, we expect that price at one point in time is likely going to come back to do a retest of structure to incite another wave of that bullish momentum. So going into the New York session, I want to be waiting for price to come back and do a retest of that structure for me to join the rally to the upside. Now, if that does not happen and price continue to trade to the upside, now we have a breakout of the 1.04500 level. Remember how important this level is in the last 2 weeks. I showed you this last week. If you are with me during the course of last week trading session, we identified this level as a strong selling niche, which we took advantage of selling pressure from that level. Remember, we took advantage of this move here last week. So we have a very strong selling niche around the 1.04500 level, and it appears price is breaking out of that structure, taking out all the sell position around this area. So if price does not go to as far as retesting this bearish trend line here, and instead we see price come back to do a retest of the 1.04500 level, followed by buying pressure on our lower time frame, then we might be good to join the trend continuation to the upside. So these are the two scenarios I will be looking forward to buy the Euro USD. Now, the third possibility that we might be looking forward to at this point, considering the fact that this area has been a strong selling niche, will this engulfing candle that broke out of the 1.04500 level turn out to be a false breakout? Well, we don't know yet, but if it does, the only way we can know it's a false breakout is when price breaks down the structure, retest the 1.40500 level, followed by selling pressure right below that structure in our lower time frame. Then we want to be seeing this as a bearish signal. Then if that happens on our lower time frame, we want to join the sell opportunity. Then we continue to move our stop loss accordingly to protect our position and watch how price will relate with the resistant level, this bearish trend line here, which also shares a confluence with that very important key level we identified on the daily time frame at the 1.03750 level. So we are going to be looking at how price will relate to the structure after we have moved our stop loss accordingly to protect the sell position here. And if we start seeing buying pressure around this area, then what this simply means is that the breakout of that 1.04500 level is not a false one after all, as this might likely be a retest of the structure that was broken to send price going to the upside. So if the buying pressure happen here, we want to get ready to buy. Then we join the rally, after which price takes us out of the sell position, and we continue to think of adding more position to our existing trade if price breaks out retest of the 1.04500 level to the upside. Now, if that does not happen and price gets into this area with a situation where we start seeing a breakdown of the 1.03750 level, retest of this trend line or the 1.03750, then that could give us a signal of a selling opportunity. So this is what we are going to be looking at on the Euro USD. So I hope you are able to monitor my screen so that you can use it as a reference point whenever you are about to make your individual decision on the Euro USD. So this is what I'll be looking forward to on the Euro USD. So we have a couple of scenarios. I think 3 scenarios we are looking at this point. So the first one is a situation where price comes back to do a retest of the structure, looking out for buying opportunities to join the trend continuation to the upside. And if price does not go that far, another opportunity we are looking forward to is price coming back to do a retest of the 1.04500 level, a level which was broken during the early hours of today, and look out for buying pressure above that level to join the rally to the upside. Now, for the sell position, I said if price breaks down the 1.0450 level, followed by a retest of structure with selling pressure right below the 1.04500 level on our lower time frame, then we want to be joining the selling opportunity to the downside. And remember, I told you we should move our stop loss accordingly to lock in some profit, as we don't know how price will relate to that structure here if the 1.04500 level is broken. So if buying pressure happens around here, then we get ready to buy, take us out of our sell position, and price continue to the upside, retest of this level, then we add more position to the trade. However, if price breaks down the 1.03750 retest of both either the bearish trend line or the 1.03750 level, should welcome another opportunity to add more position to our existing trade. So that is my view here on the Euro USD. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop in your inquiries in the comment section, and let's see how I can be of help in that regard. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to read through the charts and see if there are any questions before I move on to the next pair. So what do we have here? All right. Okay, so 603, good morning. All right. Okay, 946, good morning to you. Okay. Okay, Scott Benji, good morning. Glad to have you around. All right, in the absence of no questions, I guess we'll move on to the next pair. So the next pair I'm going to be looking at today is a new pair that I introduced. I'm introducing this week, and that's the USDCAD. It's been a while since I did something on the USDCAD. And while scrolling through my watch list, I saw a setup here that I think could be giving us trading opportunity for this week. Now, when we scale up to the daily time frame here, okay, let's see if we have macroeconomic events for this week for the card. Okay, we have something coming up tomorrow. That's the GDP annualized for quarter 3, and we have a positive consensus here. There's an expectation that we shall be having 3.5% consensus here, and let's see what the publication will be for tomorrow on the card. So do we have any other? Okay, we also have the unemployment rate coming up on Friday for the card too as well. This is also a very high impact event too. And we have the net change in employment. So these are events that participants in this market will be anticipating for this week, and obviously we are going to be seeing the reflection of this anticipation on the chart as price action. So let's see what is happening here on the daily time frame. Now, if you look at the current structure we have here, you will notice that price action has been on a long-term bullish momentum, at least since the beginning of this year. And as a result of this, I was able to connect the series of higher lows here to give us that resultant bullish trend line that you can see on your screen right now. Now, when we fast forward into the structure since the month of July, I was able to identify an important key level at the 1.3200 Canadian dollar area. And why is that so? Now, if you look at the structure, let me zoom out further so that we can see things more clearly here. If you look at what happened here in the month of July, we saw that all buying attempts to push price above the structure in the month of July was met with a strong resistance from the sellers, pushing price down to the downside here. And the same thing also happened here during the first week of the month of September. We saw selling pressure from that same level, and as a result of that, I was able to identify this area as a supply zone. However, During the later part of the month of September, we finally witnessed a breakout of that structure to incite a bullish momentum. And as since price broke out of that structure, we have been witnessing buying pressure above that level, and since then price has continued to trade above the 1.32 level. And as soon as price got into the 1.400 level, we saw selling pressure here, bringing price right back to do a retest of the 1.3200 area during the second week of this month. And from a technical standpoint, whenever we witness a breakout of a structure like this, we expect at one point in time price is likely going to come back, do a retest of structure to incite another wave of bullish momentum. So since the breakout of that structure happened in September, it took us about 2 months, over 2 months before price action came back to retest the structure here. Now, since the retest of the structure, what can we see around this area? So that is around this area since the retest of the key level here. One thing I observed here was that I'm seeing a situation here that might transition into a reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure. So since the impulsive move to the downside happened, it started in the month of October. We saw that price came back to do the retest of the 1.32 level, which was broken, and then price came back again into the 1.35 area, and we saw this move to the downside. And we saw another bullish momentum here as price was unable to break the previous low. So I'm of the opinion that we might be having a double bottom structure here, but this cannot be confirmed unless we see a breakout of the 1.35 area, which shall be serving as the neckline of this reversal pattern at this point. So we have a very important key level at the 1.35 level here, where I said if a breakout of that structure happens, that means this reversal pattern is now mature. A retest of structure followed by buying pressure should be giving us a leverage to join the rally to the upside. And in addition to this reversal pattern here, I was able to connect the series of higher lows here to give me that resultant bullish trend line that you can see here, which I will be calling a temporary one at this point. So if a breakout of the key level of the neckline at the 1.35 happens, a retest which also lines up, a retest of that structure, which also lines up with this bullish trend line, followed by buying pressure on my lower time frame, should be giving me a leverage to join the rally to the upside. So this is one of the scenarios I will be looking forward to this week. Then the other possible scenario is if price breaks down this trend line here, breaking down the 1.32 area to give us a bearish signal, after which a retest of structure should be giving us a leverage to join the decline to the downside. So at this point in time, I'm still tending towards a bullish bias here, as I'm looking forward to a breakout of the 1.35 area to give me further confirmation to join the rally. So are we going to be waiting for price to break out of the 1.35 area before we buy, or is there any opportunity for us to see buying opportunities around this area so that we can join that opportunity even before the breakout happens? And if when the breakout happens, we can add more position to our existing trade. So let's scale down to the lower time frame and let's see what is really going on around here, how participants in the market is relating to the current structure here in order to decipher what our next line of action will be. So in order to do this, we will scale down to the 1 hour time frame. Let's see what is really happening around that area. So I shared something here on my TradingView platform where I gave an update here regarding the current setup that you can see here. So the first thing we observe here is that since the beginning of the week, we have witnessed a bullish momentum. That's a very positive signal for buyers for this week. That price started the week at around the 1.33800 level, somewhere around here. This is where price started the week, and we saw this engulfing move. We saw this engulfing candle taking us right into the 1.3470 level, and as soon as price got into the 1.3470 level, we started seeing selling pressure around this area. So now this is what we have here now. So we have the resistant level for this week at the 1.347. So we should also be identifying the support level for this week, which is going to be around the 1.33800 level. So let's identify this area for the sake of clarity. So we have the 1.33800 level figured out here. So I'll place at the bottom right hand side of my screen here. So let me extend this out a little further. Now, we have seen a breakout. Hold on a second. Let me quickly show you something on the 4 hours time frame before we go into the details here. So on the 4 hours time frame, I have this bearish trend line figured out, which started last month. And if you look at the current structure here, we can see how price action has continued to respect that trend line. And after connecting the series of lower highs, I had the trend line figured out here. Do we had a breakout of that structure? Price came back, and since then, price has been trading below that structure. However, the engulfing candle that started this morning appeared to have broken that trend line to the upside, which is a clue that buyers are still coming in this market. So now when we go back to the 1 hour time frame, we have seen something here after the breakout of that trend line. We saw the breakout of this trend line here, which is a good signal for buying opportunity. Then we saw the breakout of the 1.33800 level, another good area, good sign for buyers in this market. So now, following this impulsive move to the upside, taking this impulse leg into consideration here, so we had this impulsive move here. I brought out my Fibonacci retracement tool, run it through the previous impulse leg here, and I was able to identify our golden zone area between the 50 and the 78.6% of that previous impulse leg here. So what am I expecting? So following this impulse leg now, I'm looking forward to price coming back into that golden zone area, which also lines up with the structure that was broken during the early hours of today. So if price comes back to do a retest of that structure followed by buying pressure on my lower time frame, then I want to be joining that rally to the upside. So that is one scenario that I will be looking forward to. And if price breaks above the 1.35 level, remember that's the neckline we identified on the daily time frame. Retest of structure should be giving us leverage to add more position to our existing trade. So that's the first scenario we are looking forward to here. So we are waiting for price to come back into this area. Then we could join the trend continuation to the upside. So now, what if price does not come back into the buy zone area and the trend opportunity continues from this level to the upside? Well, we don't want to miss that opportunity when it happens. So the next thing I'll be doing here is to identify a structure here, as you can see, around the 1.34350 level. So we have 1.34350 level. Let's label it 1.34350. So we have a structure there, and look at what has been happening since the breakout of that structure happened. So price broke out of the bearish trend line. Hold on a second. So price broke out of the bearish trend line. Price came back to do a retest of the 1.34, sorry. Let me read 1.34350. So since price broke out of that trend line, we saw a situation where price came back into that structure, and since price came back into that structure, we have been witnessing buying pressure from that level. So this is like a buying niche for participants in this market right now. Since in the last 7 to 8 hours now, we have been witnessing buying pressure from that level, and since then price came back to do. And if you look at the structure here, it lines up exactly with the bearish trend line that was broken earlier this morning. And we might be having a situation where price will continue to the upside here. So if this buy pressure will continue to hold buy pressure going into the New York session, well, let us look at how we want to take advantage of that opportunity. So let's scale down to the 15 minutes time frame. So what I want to be doing here, bring out my line chart. As I can see, we have a wedge forming up here, And if we connect the series of lower highs here, we have a trend line that is figured out here. So what I will be looking forward to at this point is a breakout of this trend line, retest of structure, then I want to be joining the rally to the upside from this point. So this is how I want to be buying this if price does not come back into my buy zone right around the 1.33800 area for during the New York session today. So that is that on the USDCAD. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop in your inquiries in the comment section of this video. I'm almost out of time right now. I'm not sure I will be able to take the USDJPY. So let me see if I can quickly run through the USDJPY. I will just run it on the 4 hours time frame. Let's quickly look at what is happening here. And so on the USDJPY, I already have a situation running here, but I've moved my stop loss accordingly to lock in some profit. I also shared this on my public platform as well. And if you look at what has been happening here in the last 3 to 4 weeks now, you would notice that price has been on a bearish momentum. And as a result of this, I was able to connect the series of lower highs here to give us that resultant bearish trend line that you can see on your screen right now. However, since price broke down the 142.500 area and tested the 138.00 level, we can see price has been caught within a consolidation phase right within the 142.500 and the 138.3.00 level to emphasize the indecision in this market right now. Now, going into the New York session today, in fact, going into the new week, well, at this point in time, it is required that we remain very patient as we are caught within a consolidation phase. And the only thing that we shall be using to guide our action is a breakout or breakdown of the structure. So if we are going to be buying, we might likely see a breakout of the 142.500 area, which also lines up with the bearish trend line that has been holding certain pressure in the last 3 to 4 weeks now to signal a bullish momentum. And if a retest of structure happens, could give us another opportunity to add more position to our existing trade. So that is the first scenario which I'll be looking forward to. Then the other scenario is if price breaks down the 138.00 level, then that's a bearish signal. Retest of structure will be sending price going further to the downside. So these are the two scenarios that I will be looking forward to during the New York session today, and in fact during the course of this week. Now, for buying the USDJPY, if we start seeing buying opportunity, how do we take advantage of this trade? How are we going to be waiting for price to break out of the 142.500 area before we start thinking of buying, hereby losing out all these pips here between here and here? That's about 300 pips thereabout. No, we can't wait for that to happen. So one thing I said here is this. Now, if price climbs above the 138 level back, taking us out of the sell position, and we start seeing buying pressure above this level, then that's an opportunity for us to buy, because this is a strong support level. And if you look into the past, you can see how that level has been holding buying pressure. In fact, in the last 2 weeks now, it has been holding buying pressure. So if price comes back above that level, then this might likely be a false breakdown followed by buying pressure on my lower time frame. Then I want to be joining the buy opportunity from that area. Now, if price continues further to the upside in such a way that we have a breakout of the 139.600 area, this will be giving me another opportunity to add more position to this trade. As you can see how the structure here also has been holding selling pressure at one point in time. So if a breakout of this level happens, then I want to be seeing this as a bullish signal as price has taken out all the sell position here, and if a retest of that level happens, I want to be adding more position to my existing trade, and hoping that price breaks out again the bearish trend line. A retest of structure will add more position, and that is how we continue to add more position for the buy opportunity that we might likely see here on the USDJPY for this week. But if that does not happen and price continues to trade below the 138 Japanese yen level, then we want to be comfortable in our sell position on this pair. So this is what I'll be looking forward to going into the New York session today. And on this note, I want to be calling it a day. But before I do so, let's do a quick recap of what we've talked about today, so that those who missed out of the early minutes, those who need to start the session with us, will be able to have a better perspective into what our expectations are. So the first pair we looked at today is the US oil, and on the US oil we saw a situation where price has been caught within a channel since the bearish impulsive move that we witnessed here since the later part of last week. So we saw this move to the downside, and since price tested the $74 level, we have been witnessing a consolidation phase here, hereby emphasizing the indecision in this market right now. So we have the consolidation phase right within the $74.50 level and the $74 area. So what I said here is that we want to remain patient, as a breakout or breakdown of the structure should be giving us a clue of where price will be going to. So if a breakout of the $74.50 level happens, then we want to be seeing our take profit target lining up exactly with the bearish trend line that has been holding selling pressure since in the last 3 weeks here. After which we want to see how price will be relating to the structure around this area. If we are going to be seeing selling pressure here, then we want to be joining the decline to the downside. And if a breakout of the $78 level happens, retest of structure, we want to be adding more position to our existing trade. So that is the first scenario we are looking forward to if that buy opportunity happens. So we want to take advantage of that move. And remember, if a breakout of the $74.50 level happens, this is more or less a counter trend opportunity. So we want to make sure that we take advantage, we add more position to our existing trade as price action moves in our favor. Now, if price breaks down the $74.50 level, well, that must be a sell signal for us. Then we want to be joining the decline to the downside at a retest of structure, and price continue to move in our direction. We move our stop loss accordingly to lock in some profit at this point. And one thing I also want to let you know here is that the sell pressure we have been witnessing on the US oil cannot be unconnected to the indecisive situation at the European Union, as they are yet to agree on the price cap on Russian oil. And I think there is skepticism in the market right now. And in anticipation of the OPEC Plus meeting coming up later on in this month, the early days of the month of December, you know, there is always this end of the year OPEC Plus meeting. And this meeting might likely send a huge signal for bullish momentum in this market. So we are going to be anticipating all these events as well as we continue to monitor price action. Now, we moved on to talk about the US tech, and on the US tech, I told you how we took advantage of another selling opportunity here right below the $11,730 level, and price has moved in our favor. And for those who are still in this trade since last week, I have told you to move your stop loss accordingly to somewhere around the above the 1,730 level as we continue to monitor price action. So we have two scenarios we are looking forward to going into the New York session today, after identifying a consolidation phase right within the 11,730 and the 11,650, an area which is around the very important key level we identified on the daily time frame at the $11,700 mark. So what I said we are going to be looking forward to here is either a breakdown retest of the 11,650 to add more position to our existing sell position here, or if a breakout of the resistance point at 11,730 happens, then we want to be seeing this as a bullish signal. And if buying pressure happens above this area, we want to be joining the rally to the upside. And like I told you, the take profit target is going to be falling. If we are going to be buying, the take profit target is going to be falling around the bearish trend line that you saw on the daily time frame here. So that is our view on the US tech. Then on the Euro USD, I shared the situation with you where we have started seeing buying pressure here on the on the 1 hour time frame. We saw the breakout of this trend line here, and I told you how I shared this on my public platform that buying above the 1.04500 level will be looking most appropriate. Buying breakout retest of that structure is a very good area to buy that case. Then I also said if price comes back to do a retest of the structure, if you had missed out on this opportunity, let's see if the market will be presenting us with another chance in the form of a retest of the bearish trend line that was broken earlier this morning, which also lines up with the key level at the 1.03750 level to incite another wave of bullish momentum here. And if that does not happen and price does not go that far, a retest of the 1.04500 level during the course of the week is another opportunity to either add position to our existing trade or join this trade if you are not yet in this trade. So that is the scenarios we are looking forward to buy the Euro USD. Then the third situation I stated here is if the breakout of the 1.04500 level turns out to be a false breakout. And how do we know it's a false breakout? Well, we want to see price come back below the 1.04500 level. Remember, this level has been a strong selling niche for participants in this market in the last 3 weeks. So if price breaks down that structure and then we start seeing selling pressure right below that level, then we want to be, hold on a second, if we see selling pressure right below this level, then we want to be joining the decline to the downside. And I told you that if selling pressure happens, that we want to be locking our profit as soon as price moves in our favor. And one thing that we should take note of is this area, which shares a confluence with the bearish trend line and the 1.03750 area, as we want to see how price will relate to that structure. So if we see buying pressure coming in here, probably a reversal pattern, then we want to be getting ready to buy the second wave of that bullish momentum where it takes us out of the sell position. And if a breakout retest of the 1.04500 level happens, then we want to be adding more position to this trade. But if price breaks down the 1.03750 as the sell position keeps running, a retest of structure should be welcoming additional position to our existing trade. So that is my view here on the Euro USD. Then we went on to talk about the USDCAD. And on the USDCAD, I told you how I'm expecting the buy opportunity here on the USDCAD. And to help us to make our trading activity easy during the New York session today, I was able to identify a buy zone around the 1.3380 level. This is the buy zone here after taking into consideration this impulsive move that started this week. So I'm looking forward to price coming back into a retracement of somewhere between the 50 and the 78.6% of the previous impulse leg, looking out for buying opportunities to join the second wave of that bullish momentum. And before I ended the session on the USDCAD, I identified the 1.3450 level and the trend line, that because we have been seeing buying pressure around this area, but it appears the buy pressure, this zone has been broken to the downside now. So let's hold on and see price come back into somewhere around here. This is the 50% retracement. This is the 61.8, and this is the 78.6%. So anywhere around here, look out for buying pressure on lower time frame. Then we want to be joining the rally to the upside. Then we close the day with the USDJPY, where we are in the indecisive situation right now, as price action is caught within a channel right within the 142.500 area and the 138.00 level. And I was able to share with you how we want to take advantage of this, as we want to see price either break down the structure to give us a signal to go to the downside, break down the support level. Remember, this level has been holding buying pressure in the last 2 weeks now. So if a breakdown happens, then that means sellers have come to take out all the buy position around that area. Then the other scenario I stated here is if price breaks out of the resistance level here, which also lines up with the bearish trend line that has been holding selling pressure in the last 3 weeks here. Then if that happens, then a retest to structure should be giving us leverage to add more position to our existing trade. Then I said something here that are we going to be waiting for all this 300 pips move before we join the rally to the upside? No. I think we still have opportunities here if buy opportunity is going to come in. Well, I said if price breaks above the 138, that is takes us out of the current sell position here, then price breaks above the 138.00 level, and then we see a retest of structure or buying pressure right above this level, then we on our lower time frame, remember, we want to be joining the rally to the upside. Then I was able to also identify a structure at around the 139.600 level, an area which has been holding selling pressure in the last 10 days here. So if a breakout of that level happens, price takes out all the sell position here. We want to be seeing this as a good signal to buy. A retest of structure followed by buying pressure right above this level should welcome additional position to the trade. Then a breakout of this bearish trend line, retest of the bearish trend line should also give us another opportunity to add another position to our existing trade here. So these are the views I will be looking forward to going into this new week. So let's see how price action plays out as we continue to monitor price action. I'm very sorry, Innocent Babe, I'm unable to take the gold for today, but I'll try as much as possible to include this into our session for tomorrow. So on this note, I want to wish you best of luck today, and one thing for sure is this: remember not to get too excited when you sight your signals. Wait out for retest of structures to happen on our lower time frames before we want to be joining either the bullish momentum or bearish momentum, whichever the case may be. So on this note, I wish you best of luck. Do have a wonderful evening, and I look forward to seeing you right here on the Extra Speed Live app tomorrow. Same time, 10 a.m. UTC, 11 a.m. West African time, and let's come here again to get prepared for the New York session. Do have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.